Hi everyone, Haley Gant here from Quest Trust Company, here with a brand new episode of Quest Talks. We've got a really special episode for you today. Today we have Brittany Washington. We're going to go all into real estate title for real estate investors, so stay tuned. We've got a great show coming up. We'll be right back.
Propelio TV is sponsored by Noble Mortgage and Investments, Batch Skip Tracing, Think Multifamily, CreativeCashflow.com, and Life and Air.
All right, everyone, we are back. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of Quest Talks. My name's Haley Gant. I'm an IRA specialist with Quest Trust Company. And today we have a really special guest. We have Brittany Washington. Brittany has been in the title industry for almost 10 years or over 10 years, actually.
Yeah, man, a long time, since 05.
05, yeah. So she knows the ins and outs of title. We're super excited to have her here today. She also knows a lot about how it relates to self-directed IRAs. So Brittany, kind of to get started, tell us a little about yourself. How did you end up in the title industry back in 05?
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually really like to share my story. It's part of who I am because I've been doing it for so long. So I'm really fortunate. Back when I was in high school in 2003, I was working in retail. I worked at like the Body Shop. It's like Charlotte Russe type store, right?
I worked at Charlotte Russe in college.
So and it was great. And I excelled really fast. I went I started to get really bored really quickly working there. And so my high school sweetheart at the time, his dad worked at Countrywide. So he got both of us an internship that summer. So the summer before my senior year, I was working as an intern at Countrywide. And so they liked me so much, they asked me to stay, and it just kind of worked out perfect. So I was at Countrywide for 2 years, and then I actually landed a job at a title company in 05. And
when you were 18 years old,
when
right?
I was 18, yeah. And so, so I've been doing it since 2005. And so, I've worked for just a handful of title companies since then, mainly just independent agents, and I've been loving it. It's basically, I've been doing it for half my life, so it's all I know. It's great.
That's awesome. That's kind of how I am with Quest. I started working at Quest almost right out of college, and it's been almost 3 years now. So, I am an expert at IRAs now, as I'm sure you're obviously an expert with title. But what kind of attracted the real estate investment side of things to you with title versus all of the other directions you could have gone with it?
So, and it's actually, it's one of those stories that it really just kind of fell into my lap. It was just a byproduct of the market at the time. So that, back in 2005 was when things were going really well. There was a lot of refinances going on in Texas. Just a lot of traditional business was like crushing it, right? So when I came into the title company, the closer who was handling all the normal traditional business didn't have time for the kind of one-off, non-traditional, whatever that looked like. So from the moment that I started learning how to process title, it was commercial deals, investor deals. One of my very first accounts was a cell tower acquisition account. Like, did you even know they have to refinance every 5 years? So I grew up in the space learning title in a non-traditional world, which is totally different than any other escrow agent. I mean, that's just because of how the industry is. So I was really lucky that I didn't realize that people were used to this, box of traditional stuff. I learned all this. And so, and I really enjoyed it. And I really enjoyed the legislation side of things because in Texas, we're extra regulated because of how our laws work from state to federal. And so that was where I really got involved in wanting to do this kind of investor stuff that has more stuff that goes, curative issues, if you will.
Awesome.
So
so kind of break away from the cookie cutter traditional, break outside from what most people would do. There's definitely a need from that. You always hear with investors, there's title issues, there's probate, there's things like that. So having a good escrow agent, I'm sure, is so vital in getting those deals done. And, if you've only ever worked with these sorts of closings, you're not going to be able to handle all of the others, which real estate investors work with all of the others. So kind of getting into some advice and issues, things like that. You've been in the industry for a while. What are some common issues that you see, maybe for new investors that, are maybe doing their first deal or two? What are some of the title go-tos, need to know sort of things?
Yeah, absolutely. So my first thing I want to say, and this is just an industry standard, I think, blanket thing for whether it's a new investor or just anyone, even a seasoned investor or whatever you're doing. The title company, we facilitate the entire transaction, right? So we need to know all of the facts. And it's almost like the title company always gets, we're the last ones, it feels like at least, to get the information we need. So my first piece of advice is just make sure that you are upfront and tell your title company what you're dealing with, what obstacles you already know of, this, that, and the other, so that everything can go a little bit more smooth and that there's no last minute surprises. Because that's the worst, where it's like you find out the day before closing something that you could have, a challenge that you could have overcome, weeks ago or whatever. So that's my first thing. Just communicate with your title company. It's very, very important. And if you anything that they need to know, just know that they need to know. But so then the other thing that I joke about when it comes to investors is there's like 4 really common title issues that we run into, and it's like the 4 Ds, right? They all start with a D. So you have your distressed properties, deferred, meaning in taxes, divorce, and death. And so I think most likely one of the most common that I see is when you're dealing with a deceased seller, whether it's in probate or, the estate, there's no will, however many, 20,000 heirs they might have, all that. That's probably one of the most common and most tedious because when you have all your heirs, you have to track them down, and it can cause a lot of issues. And so that, or, just with the distressed properties. So I've kind of made this like name for myself lately. I don't know how I got this, but I'm like the foreclosure stopping queen. And so with the distressed properties, so I've had a lot of people throw, hey, foreclosure auctions next Tuesday, the 7th. Brittany, do you have enough time to get this stopped? Sure, send it over.
Yeah.
So
you and 30 other investors, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, the great thing is, the 5 at one law firm, let's just add another. I'll call that friend over there and get it done. But no, so I think those are the most common ones that if you're going to start trying to figure out, where to wrap your head around title issues and how to really, because ultimately what it means as an investor to understand the curative title side of things is coaching your seller properly so that they're happy and things can get done in a timely fashion, right? Because everyone, there's always a need to close quick. And so if you don't preface your seller, hey, I know Brittany's going to call you and she's going to need to track down that brother that you had that you don't talk to that's twice removed. Oh, yeah. And this, well, we don't talk to them no more. Oh, well, he ain't been in the family for years. He don't have title to this house. Well,
every single time. Every time.
So, that's the most important thing is communicating with your title company, and then also making sure your seller knows they're going to have some hoops to jump through and making them okay with that. So I think that's probably my first piece of advice to a new investor.
Yeah, that's awesome. Now, if say you're a new investor and you've been door knocking, you're shopping the pre-foreclosures, and you find a deal and it has those title issues, and foreclosure is next week. I mean, how do they get around that? How do you guys make it happen? So
the most common thing that the bank's going to need is a contract. So we actually have a seller right now. It's one of the ones that I'm trying to stop for next week that he's dragging his feet on signing the contract. But the bank is going to most likely. I've actually had a couple recently where I've verbally been able to stop, but I think that's just because they know me at the companies now. But so they're going to have a laundry list of things they require, depending on who the lender is. For example, Wells Fargo, they're going to want to see a copy of the contract to make sure that it's being sold, to make sure that they're going to have enough money to cover what's owed. They want proof of funds from the buyer, an approval letter from the lender. I mean, they want to make sure there's a bona fide transaction happening before they delay it.
Yeah.
So the most important thing, if I can say, is when you're there and you know it's happening, even if you're still trying to work out some of the terms, get your contract, send it to title, because none of the rest is going to matter if you can't stop the foreclosure.
Yeah.
So get the paperwork in, get it stopped, buy time, and then figure everything else out.
Yeah. How just out of curiosity for myself, we didn't even talk about this before, but I'm glad we're getting into it because there are so many investors shopping those pre-foreclosure lists and going out there and door knocking, and you're also helping that person avoid that foreclosure, which causes even a lot more issues than, if they could get some money now for the house and stop the foreclosure. So how soon before the Tuesday auction do you guys need this information in order to get it stopped?
So it depends on the lender. So basically, since next Tuesday is, it's the auction date. So basically, today's like the last day. Like if someone throws something at me on Monday, I would try, but the bank is most likely going to need 24 hours to have authorization uploaded, the documents uploaded. I mean, there's just processes that we can't get around.
Yeah.
So, I mean, to be safe, I would say a week.
Yeah.
Please don't throw a bunch of those to me like in a week advance. Give me as much time as possible. Like a month would be really beautiful because well in advance. But I mean, at least 2 business days would probably be.
Yeah. So a week.
A week. We'll say a week. Look, I'm
but
like
up to 2 business days because I know I'm like friends with so many local real estate investors on Facebook where every month I see someone has helped a family. They stopped their foreclosure like literally the day before the auction, and so stopping that foreclosure is key in order for you to get that deal and that seller to ultimately not go into foreclosure.
Yeah.
So kind of talking about timeframes though, no matter where you are, what part of this real estate industry that you're in, timeframes are very important. You always want to give yourself enough time before you either need to stop the foreclosure, get the contract. If you're using a self-directed IRA, this is obviously something we're going to touch on because this is the show Quest Talks. When you're using a self-directed IRA with title, how is it different? What are some common pitfalls there? I know you've worked with a lot of self-directed IRAs.
Yeah, I mean, I had a huge account that was like all we did, a couple years ago. So I have a lot of experience with that. So, and I'm really glad that you asked me about that because it's something, I was thinking about because a lot of the time, if you're getting, your money's coming from an IRA, obviously it's solid bona fide money that's coming, right? So this goes back to making sure your title company has all the facts and everything in place to make sure that we can do our due diligence. And so what that means is, hey, Brittany, I'm getting my money from an IRA. Okay, great. Let me get Haley's information. I need to call over to Quest because Quest, you guys you guys are going to have your instructions that you guys need. Yeah. You guys are going to have documents that you need to review in time. And then there's also, time for the money to be sent. And, even if it is 48 hours or whatever it is, it's still a time that if we don't know to reach out to you guys and vice versa before the day of closing, that can cause delays. Yeah. So, it's definitely communicate so that we can communicate with your IRA and get everything we need in place in the background, really. Because we shouldn't have to worry about that last minute stuff.
Yeah, definitely. But, and especially too, as you're using a self-directed IRA, not only do you as the client have to sign off on that deal, but we actually have to sign off on that. It's not you doing the investment, it's your IRA doing that investment. So that property is actually titled Quest Trust Company for the benefit of your name and your IRA account number. So you as the client need to sign off on that contract. In order for Quest to be able to execute those documents, we need your signature. Then we, obviously we will sign off on it. And then, we work with you guys to do the proper paperwork exchange for the IRA to take title to that investment.
Right. I mean, it's very similar if you're using like a private money lender or a hard money lender, for example. And I'm saying those specifically because traditional lenders have a whole other process. But essentially, you guys have to approve the settlement statement. And so that takes time. You have to review it. And, you may have some little changes that we need to make or whatever. And so we need to make sure that time is allotted for everyone to get their ducks in a row so that the money can be sent on time.
Yeah, definitely. So you've worked with a lot of self-directed IRAs. What are some of the common, gosh, I don't even know, whenever someone's using their self-directed IRA to do this investment and they start sending in that contract, are there any things that like may be common issues once they start actually sending that in, where the title company would kick that back to us or something like that?
So I wouldn't say that it would be with the title company, maybe the other way around where I've seen more like a smaller, newer, I don't know what is the proper term to use, but a newer company that was just trying to get all their processes in place. And so they wanted to approve the title company and they wanted to it was a little different because typically because from my experience, you guys really have your stuff together. Yeah. And so I haven't run into with, any issues other than that one time, honestly. And it was just them trying to figure out what they wanted from the title company, really. It was just a little messy. But I mean, if as the title company, if we're, clearing everything and everything's ready to close in advance time before closing and we're not throwing like, a dirty, commitment at you guys and you're like, why are you closing when, there's like obviously things that need to be cleared up. But I mean, other than that, so I think it really just goes back to your point of timeline. Yeah. Being sensitive on making sure everything's done in time.
And be aware of the roles. Be aware of who does what in the transaction. As the client, it is your role to find the deal, do the due diligence on that investment, and you basically put that contract together just like you normally would, except the only thing that's different is the buyer is Quest. So you get that information together, you send it to us, let us know who the title company is, we'll do that proper transaction from there. But if it's your first deal with your IRA, watch the classes, watch the education, be aware of the processes, know how you set up the account, how you move it over. We run into a lot of investors that, they may come to our classes or they come to our events and they're like, okay, self-directed IRAs are cool, but I don't have a deal yet. So when they find the deal, and maybe it's a pre-foreclosure that they're trying to stop a week from now, and they don't even have a self-directed IRA opened up, that's definitely going to cause some issues. You want to make sure you always give yourself enough time, know the roles, and know who to call for the right questions. We're not attorneys, we're not financial advisors, so we can't answer those sort of attorney sort of questions. And I mean, you're the title company.
And I get the same thing. And there's a point I wanted to make on that too, is as a new investor, let us know if it's your first time dealing with a certain situation, working with an IRA, whatever may the case be, let us know so that we can help you. So, I think people are scared sometimes to say, hey, I'm new, hey, I don't know, but that's fine. You don't know what you don't know. And we all have something that we don't know. And so things can get messed up if you don't give us the tools to help you. So I think that's another important thing, is just communicate. That's fine. I know that we would be more than willing to hold anyone's hand through the process of their first IRA closing. Right?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
But we don't know if we don't know. So you got to tell us.
Yeah, definitely. And, and go out there as a new investor, talk to people that have done it before. I always tell people at our classes and events, because, I can teach about self-directed IRAs all day long, but if our clients or whoever is coming to our events, if they don't have the tools to actually have a good title company, have a good insurance person, or be able to refer to a friend or colleague that maybe has done a few of these deals before, we can't tell you how to structure your deal. So understand, go out there, network with people, come to the Propelio event on May 14th, subtle plug, next big quarterly event that they're doing. You should throw a little golden nugget on that.
I know, right? Come network with
biggest
the best.
One of the show. But no, come out and network and learn and take advantage of all the resources around you, and then take good advantage of the title resources, of the self-directed IRA resources that we offer at Quest, to really set yourself up for these transactions. Now let's talk a few title terms that, people that are new to real estate. And honestly, I was asking this before the show. I've grown up in real estate. I was like, this is probably a stupid question, but when people say escrow, oh, my funds are in escrow, everything's in escrow. How does my self-directed IRA go into escrow?
Who's escrow? What's escrow?
What is escrow? Tell us a little bit about what people may be referring to when they refer to this term escrow.
Absolutely. And so, it actually, it's an interchangeable term. It has different meanings, right? So there's a few different things. So my first thing I want to say is, depending on what kind of state you're in and the way that the laws are regulated, an escrow agent is also known as your title company or closer. So like in the state of Texas, we call ourselves escrow officers. So your escrow agent. But escrow is also where money can be held, right? So say you have a leaseback, for example, that you're holding money for a deposit at closing, and it's being held in escrow, meaning like the title company is just holding it until it's ready to disperse. Also, another kind of escrow would be if you have a loan where you're paying into impounds, taxes, and insurance every month. That's considered an escrow account. So they're all, different meanings, but that's what it is. And then I also have another one. So I used to work with this lady who, she had 5 different dogs. They all had real estate related names. And one of her dog's names was escrow, not to be confused with escrow agent or holding funds in escrow.
So my funds are with the dog escrow?
Yeah. No? Like, what do you mean? I don't understand. A border collie has my money.
Yeah. It's like when you open up the dictionary and there's escrow and there's all these different terms, but that's really good. It honestly helped to clear that up for me as well, because, so many people are like, oh, my funds are in escrow. I'm talking to my escrow agent. It's, if you're not sure of these terms as a new investor and you're hearing them, call Brittany, call someone and ask. If you guys have questions, be sure to leave them in the comments below. I have a few other questions about other title terms I'm going to quiz you about when we come back. We're going to take a quick break. Be sure to like, comment, share, come to the Propelio event on May 14th. We'll be answering questions in the comments below. So we'll be right back. Hope you stay tuned.
The Propelio Academy, an all-in-one education resource for training in wholesales, subject to wraps, short sales, flips, rentals, BRRRR, property management, and more. Go to propelio.com/academy to get your scholarship today. Propelio.com. What does Propelio offer? Lead generating websites. Access to true MLS comps. Off-market lead lists. and deal alerts. Get them all today at Propelio.com.
All right, everyone, we are back. Haley Gant here from Quest Trust Company, here with Brittany Washington. Super excited to have Brittany on the show today. I personally am learning a lot about title. My days, all day, every day, revolve around self-directed IRAs. So I always hear these terms, but it's really good for me and our viewers to, kind of get this good education as an intro or as a new investor. Having a title company or knowing about why title is important is key. If you don't know the kind of fundamentals of why you should have a title company, things like that, you could really end up in some hot water. So let's talk about that a little bit.
Sure.
Say someone's a new investor and they're considering, why would I close with a title company? What is title insurance and do I need it?
Right.
Why is that important for new investors or everyone, really?
I mean, no, and so that's one of the most popular questions, especially because the moment they see, the bottom line, they're like, I have to pay for insurance, right? So it's super important and, in my opinion, absolutely necessary. And so I want to first explain, so title is the document that we're going to issue as your policy, right? To ensure that as the buyer, that the home's yours, that no one can come and say, you owe me money, that I, have rights to this property.
I actually own this property.
Yeah, and so your title insurance, so the fun thing for me, and I know insurance is kind of boring for people, but I like to make it fun. So my little fun fact about insurance, and this is my favorite way to explain it to people. So any other kind of insurance you get, like, your car insurance, right, is going to insure for something in the future. Well, title insurance insures for things in the past. So why would you put all this money into an investment that you don't know anything from the history of it? If you want to make sure that you're putting all your ducks in, all your eggs in one basket, you want to make sure that that basket's yours and that you can take it home and no one's going to say, oh, those are my eggs or that's my basket. So it's really important because you could really get yourself into, you could buy a $100,000 property that you have no rights to. And you could find out 2 days after you buy it and you couldn't do a thing about it without your title policy. So where we come into play is, so say we close and everything's taken care of and then, there was an issue that was missed. The title policy is going to cover that for you. And our underwriter, in the event there's a claim where someone, an error comes back or whatever happens, there's so many different things that title claims, people that can come and claim things on your title, our underwriter is going to go and defend you in court. So it's really important. And we actually, in the event you have to use your title policy, there's a whole lot of benefits for a one-time fee you pay at closing. And that stays with you as long as you own the property. Like, I don't know why you wouldn't. Why would you take the risk? Why would you?
Exactly. What is obviously it's going to vary between, a $10,000 property or a $500,000 property, but for title insurance, what is the average cost of that an investor might be looking at?
So I can tell you. So in the state of Texas, so every state's different. So in the state of Texas, the Texas Department of Insurance, they regulate our fees. So every title company has the exact same fee. So if it's a $100,000 property, it's $875, I believe. Don't quote me on that exactly, but it's 800 something.
That is so cheap for the title of your property. That's
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, that's huge.
Hashtag
I didn't realize it was that cheap.
I mean, and you can get extra additions to the policy, boundary coverage. There's other things that you can have that will add up, but they're even still just $50. You can get extra area and boundary coverage. Why wouldn't it's, in my opinion, definitely something that's worth it. But for a $500,000 property, it'd be $4,500, I think. But I mean, again, it doesn't matter where you go, though. It's not like me as a title company. I can say, I feel like charging you this today. No, the state tells us what we charge. So, and other states are different. Like California, for example, is what we call a bucket state, and the underwriters set their fees. So, but yeah, so. Stuff going on back here. Right? We got a little friend or something over here.
It's not a little mouse back there or something.
So, but that's going to be it. I mean, and then you have your few other, escrow fees and stuff. But Texas is a super, super competitive state when it comes to title insurance. So, I mean, honestly, the fees are pretty minimal, especially compared to if you're getting fees for a loan or something like that.
Or if you're not closing at a title company and you say that long lost brother now wants the property because someone else owns it, you essentially would not be protected because they were an heir to that property and they didn't sign off, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. I mean, there's so many things that could happen where it's with the minimal fee, that one-time minimal fee, that you have all this protection. So.
So, kind of along with the times, and everyone says, oh, the market's changing, the market is slowing down, things like that. You've been in title since 2005. So you went through 08 and, obviously all of the upswings since then. What is your opinion on like the market changes? What kind of trends have you seen changing? Maybe what's different now versus before that may be helpful to some people that are watching out there?
Yeah, absolutely. And so, and this is, my opinion on this too. And so,
not giving tax, legal, or investment advice.
I'm not giving any advice, and I don't know, I don't predict the market, I don't follow that kind of stuff. But my opinion based off of, because I felt it before, like, and I didn't know, I was so young back then, and I was just trying to, like, stay in college and work full time and learn title. So I didn't realize what was happening when it happened. But now that I do, and I'm more financially savvy, if you will, and economically savvy, I guess. You can feel the market going a little stagnant. But it definitely is 100%, in my opinion, different this time because we have so many different regulations in place that have protected the consumer, and they've made it kind of a pain in the butt. But also, and this is my favorite part about, one of my favorite parts, there's lots of favorite parts, but one of my favorite parts about working with investors is because this is the kind of market, in my opinion, that you want to be in as an investor, because this is where creative financing options come into play. This is where if you're out there hustling and you're able to make money moves with something, you're going to do it in a market that's stagnant and or about to crash or whatever everyone's predicting. So I don't think that, in my opinion, I don't think that we're going to have a crash, just like in Texas too, because we have this like economic bubble safe hold, I feel like. Like, like all like, like the old country boys money, like we have our little own sustainable economy, it feels like, right? So it definitely doesn't,
opportunities are presenting themselves.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. That is the good way to put it. So I don't think that we're going to have any issues.
Yeah. And I feel the same way. It's always like the hot topic of conversation. And I find, and nothing against new investors or like people that, may not have done a deal or things like that. But I feel like it's always a lot of times people from the outside that maybe haven't done a lot of deals or haven't actually pulled the trigger yet, that they're like, oh, the market's going to crash. I'm going to wait for the market to improve. I'm going to wait to do this until the market does this. Don't wait. Go out there and do it. Opportunities are out there right now. You guys probably work a lot of title with pre-foreclosures every single month, and you're just one title company. So, the opportunities are out there, and there's so many different ways to creatively structure the deal. You definitely want to know the rules and the regulations, and you want to have an attorney or a title company that's going to have those documents drafted correctly for you, right? So that makes sure you're protected, it follows rules and laws and things like that. But once you know those rules, you know how you can be creative with them. And I think that is one of the biggest opportunities out there. And not only that, but you can do it in a self-directed IRA and potentially never pay taxes on the money that you make. So, gonna swing into self-directed IRAs for a second because this is Quest Talks. But if you have money sitting in an old 401k, sitting in an IRA, go out there and educate yourself about the different investment opportunities that you have. You have other options for your retirement account outside of the stock market, CDs, mutual funds, annuities, that your money is stuck there and you're actually penalized within the annuity to take it out. It's crazy, and they don't really tell that to you when you buy the annuity. Right. But if you have this money sitting there that's not really doing anything, or you think you can make more money with that in real estate, go out there and learn how you can creatively structure these deals. Know about what type of investment you're looking at. How does the title company become involved in this? How do I actually purchase it with my IRA? Go out there and figure out these steps. Talk to us. We do free consultations pretty much all day, every day. All I do is talk about IRAs.
You're always educating people on it.
Yeah. And most of our education is free. That's why we love doing stuff with Propelio, because we want to get this information out there. We want you to be able to have more money to save for retirement, and take advantage of these opportunities that are out there. Right. And I just kind of thought of this as I was going off on that tangent about self-directed IRAs. But guys, it really is a great way to build wealth. There's no other way to build tax-free wealth faster than by investing into real estate. 90% of millionaires are self-made, and a lot of them it's from real estate. So it's crazy.
I'm sitting here listening to this thing, thinking about things. Have you ever heard someone who didn't say, oh, I don't want to invest in real estate? show me someone who wouldn't be interested in investing in real estate if they had the opportunity. So that there's so many people that are saving for the future and are planning and are trying to build their wealth, and that they don't know. It's like, man, it's like you could really be over there, like, you know,
definitely
investing, building your portfolio, doing these things, and they don't know. So call Haley and find out how you can do that. Get on that.
Yes. And not to mention too, if you're looking at acquiring these properties, you know, because your IRA is great, it gets these awesome tax advantages, but it doesn't actually put that money into your own pocket right now. Those profits go back into your IRA, and then you can access them without penalties once you're 59 and a half. But go out there and talk to people and network and figure out how to use other people's IRAs as private financing sources for your own deals. And then you can actually go out there, you know, buy these pre-foreclosures, buy the properties from the distressed sellers or from the heirs that maybe don't want that house anymore, and take advantage of those opportunities out there, and then do it right by having a good title company that, you know, can make sure that, you know, that proper title and warranty deed and things like that are exchanged how they need to be. Another quick title question.
Go for it.
So if someone's purchasing a property and say they're getting a loan on that property, you know, a cash buyer is obviously going to be a little different than maybe a buyer getting, you know, private lending or a hard money loan. When it comes to title and dealing with you guys, how does that change the process, if it even changes it at all?
I mean, barely any. So again, it just, as long as we know up front, for example, private money lenders, it's a good one I like to use, because they're different in how they require things. So as long as I know that there's going to be, you know, money coming from somewhere, I can reach out to them and ask them what they need from me. Do they want a title policy for the loan? Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Do they want us to draft documents for them? Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Do they want us to, I mean, whatever they need, which are really simple questions, but if we don't know, to reach out to ask them, or, you know, because some private money lenders don't care if, they don't require a loan policy, as long as you get, and, you know, they have a clear title and they have an owner's policy being issued, but some of them want it. And so, but it doesn't add any extra steps, really, in my opinion, as long as we're given the tools to reach out and have everything in place ahead of time. I mean, awesome. Private money lenders really, we kind of view them similar like cash. They're very, very simple and easy to work with. But everyone has their different requirements. So just as long as we know where to reach out to and you know, ask the right questions.
It's good to know.
Yeah, it's like
I was
really
kind of asking that for my own personal. I wasn't sure.
No, it's great. So I actually just worked with I funded a deal last week with a private money lender, and so we were actually kind of joking about it. Him and I had played phone tag a little bit. I was trying to like go through my list of questions, just because they are all different. And so, anyways, long story short, he was like, "Why are you calling me? Like, why are you stalking me? I don't need anything from you." I'm like, "But do you not need something signed?" Well, so what ended up happening was they had their note and deed of trust already signed. And they had overnighted it to my office, and I didn't know. And he's like, "What are you doing? I've done all this." It was, anyways, once we figured it all out, we joked. But if anything, that made it so much easier for me, because I'm like, thank you, friend. You just helped me with part of my job. I appreciate that. So it definitely doesn't make it any harder.
That's nice. As long as you know what's going on. And when you're calling someone like that, what are the typical questions you were like looking to ask him?
Yeah, well, so I always preface it with, just because from my experience, you know, I like people to know that I work with investors a lot, so that I'm asking these questions because I'm educated on what we're trying to accomplish here, which is a closing. So I let them know, hey, I work with investors a lot. So all my private money lenders, or whatever you are, they're different, right? So do you need a title policy? Do you want my title commitment? What documents do you need for review? Like literally just are you gonna have any documents signed? Do you, what do you require? What do you require from me, from your buyer? And how can I get your money in? Just, you know, just to kind of run through those steps, and then they'll let me know. I mean, that's really it. And then, you know, just, awesome. Just to open that line of communication. So, and I think part of it too is not only for me to find out what I need to do for them, but to let them know, like, hey, I know what I'm doing. I can handle this. Like, let me take things into my purview. Because as a title agent, and whether you're doing cash or with a private money lender or hard money, whatever you're doing, we facilitate the contract, right? So it's like, I feel like everyone's my little baby, and I just want to get everyone here in my little, you know, my little basket, and take care of everyone and make sure that it's smooth and facilitated properly. And so I think it's a lot of it's more for me, just kind of putting all my ducks in a row, getting things in place for the closing.
And making sure everyone knows what they need to do so the deal can actually fund. Because gosh, we deal with this a lot at Quest sometimes. You know, when there are different moving parts to a deal, there's the self-directed IRA custodian, there's the title agent, there's the borrower, there's the lender. There's a lot of moving parts, and sometimes people don't answer their phones, they don't answer their emails, they think they submitted half of a promissory note and they're like, why hasn't my deal funded? So, answer the calls, know the process of what you need to go through, what each person is going to need, and it will make your life easier as an investor, kind of get that stuff up front, know exactly what you're going to need for that deal.
Yes.
I know we're getting kind of close to the end of the show. It's been really great to have you on.
I'm so glad
I know we've been trying to
this.
do this for a couple of weeks, and we finally had a chance to film everything together. And I've personally learned a lot about title. You do a lot with self-directed IRAs, which is awesome. But you got into this business when you were 16, got into title when you were 18, and you've seen a lot over the years through there. What advice would you have for like young investors or maybe like young females that are looking to either break into this industry or finding a way to get started into real estate?
Yeah, just do it. Just don't be scared. Stop procrastinating. Stop using the market as an excuse or whatever, this, that, and the other. Just, do it. Take the plunge. Take the leap. If you're really, really wanting to get into this business and it's a passion of yours or something that you're excited about, then act on it. Don't wait. And call us. Again, you have to start somewhere, right? So this is what we're here for. Phone a friend and let us help you, and we'll point you in the right direction. Come to the Propelio event, May 14th.
Yes.
But just don't wait. I'm so fortunate for me because most people don't have. I was very blessed with the fact that this career literally fell in my lap, and you don't get that. So don't wait for that because it's not going to happen. Like I wish it would for you guys, but it's not. You have to go after it. You have to get after it. And that's my one thing. Just don't wait.
And find an avenue in which you want to go after and stick with that and run with it. I know sometimes you see a lot of issues with investors. They're all over the place. They're like wholesaling one week, then they're like, looking for other deals the next week, then they're knocking pre-foreclosures, then they're, I don't even know what else, but kind of find, what am I good at? What are my skill sets? How can my skill sets add value to other people that I'll be working with? You don't have to go out and door knock and buy pre-foreclosures. You could, join a title company and start working as a title agent.
Absolutely.
Work on the back end of it and start understanding those transactions. I know a lot of our employees at Quest are actually in some way real estate investors. A lot of us do deals with our IRAs, even just like partnering them together.
Right.
But a lot of our transaction specialists are very, very knowledgeable about these transactions, not because they're a real estate investor right now, but because they started working at a place like Quest where they can learn about the transactions and maybe learn about it from the back end. So once you are ready to go out there and do your own investments, you already have that base knowledge of education.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's fun, like I'm really glad that you brought that up because I know like literally off the top of my head, just 5 people, no joke, in the last week have reached out to me saying, hey, Brittany, and this is like, a handful of investors and a real estate agent who are looking for assistance. So like if you want to start somewhere and you need we know people who need help and that would be willing to train you. And so and I think another thing too that as you're trying to figure out what your niche is or what you want to do, figure out what is most interesting to you. Because we all have to put in a lot of work. So what are you going to enjoy the most spending your time on? So
yeah. And apparently for some people it's self-directed IRAs. I had no idea I would love retirement accounts so much. But it's cool because as people in the real estate industry, we are here to help add value to your life, to your investments, and help things go smoothly and easily for you. So think about, as you're going out there, how can I also add value to other people? Because, if you go out there and you're just looking for ways to take someone to lunch or, learn this from someone, a lot of people see right through that. So, don't go out there thinking, okay, what can I, just take away from this person, but what can I also do to help add value?
Yes.
And that will definitely help you be successful as well.
That will take them a long way. What do we call that? The abundance mentality.
Yeah.
But that's for real. I mean, because it's going to happen at some point where, that's the relationship aspect that we need. And so it's a constant back and forth. And so I love that you said that. That's super good. That's really cool.
Awesome. Well, that sounds like a great note to end the show on. It's been great to have you today.
I am so glad that I was here and that we twinned without planning it.
Yes. But yes, if you guys liked today's show, be sure to like, comment, share, all of those fun things you do on social media and YouTube. And don't just keep this information to yourself. Go out there and tell other people about it. We offer a lot of great wealth building resources, ways to avoid taxes on your investments. Brittany knows all of the ins and outs of title, so she can answer your questions there. But give us a call at Quest if you have questions, fun IRAs, come to the Propelio event on May 14th. I know I'm very active on Facebook, so I'll be posting some questions to answers and stuff in the comments below. But Brittany, if anyone wants to reach out to you, how can they contact you?
Absolutely. So I will definitely be answering questions as well. And I give up my cell, so 972-955-9473. Brittany Kane Title. I'll also be tagged here. Feel free to reach out anytime. I'm happy to help.
Awesome. So we'll see y'all next time. Y'all have a great week.
Bye.
Propelio TV is sponsored by Noble Mortgage and Investments, Batch Skip Tracing, Think Multifamily, CreativeCashflow.com, and Lifener.
Hey everybody, I'm Ryan with Propelio. If you like what you saw, please subscribe. Turn on those notifications and stick around for more. We have tons of content like this all over our channel. So if you want to learn more about real estate investing, stick around, watch Propelio TV, and we'll see you later.